start?
Yeah, a bit early to be honest. I didn't know if anyone was going to be here.
Good, mate. This is it.
Oh, alright.
Morning. Christy.
Right, what have I done?
Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat. I'm Andy.
Alright.
And this is Tim. Hey, mate.
Tim,
We've
yeah.
just met.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thanks for coming down. Yeah. Where to start?
Right.
Don't worry, you look really worried.
I don't know what it is.
You look really concerned and really worried.
So, yeah, go on then. What is it about then?
We work for the counter-terrorism branch.
I'm not doing any terrorism. That's it.
That's good. This is always a good way to start a conversation.
Right, okay,
He's not
go on.
involved in terrorism.
That's a
Fantastic.
massive tick, yeah.
That's good. Now, we get reports in from all over the place. Alright?
Right, okay.
Most of them anonymous. Alright? Because there are people on social media, all sorts of social media platforms. Yeah?
Twitter, Facebook,
Twitter,
you know, all that.
Facebook,
Yeah.
all that business that are saying things that some people take offence to. And some
Right.
people think maybe either extreme or on the way to becoming extreme. Yeah?
It's define extreme, you know what I mean? Like, because to me, a lot of this
Go
stuff that
on.
I put is common sense. And if you go back sort of 10 years,
Yeah.
everyone would be saying the same thing. It's just this sort of madness now.
Right.
That it's just it's so far left, it's just gone crazy.
Right.
So, you know, like, what I put tends to be a bit of a backlash for that. It's like, oh, come on, give me a break,
Right.
you know.
So where would you say that you are then?
Where would I say that I am? I'd say
On the political spectrum, if we're talking politics,
by
whose
definition though?
the everyman, the person who's walking down the street. Where
By
would
the
you
media's
say that you are?
definition, I'd say it was probably right
Right of centre,
right,
far
certainly.
right or extreme far right or far right extreme.
Well, I don't know by my opinion. I'd say right of centre.
Right of centre.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
But just common sense.
So what are your political beliefs, if you like, or your political thoughts, or your political feelings?
Well, I think we need to sort of be careful of dangerous ideologies.
What do you mean by dangerous ideas?
I mean, dangerous ideologies. Say if someone had a religion that basically, like, in pretty much most pages of it, and as a sort of religious belief, believes that everyone who wasn't part of that religion
Yeah.
should be destroyed and killed. Sort of like National Socialism. Like,
Right.
I think that's a bit far. And if you took National Socialism, which in a sense is a religion in itself,
Yeah.
you know, if you look at, you know, some of the people who are still into it these days, like, the precepts of it being sort of supremacist movement where everybody else who's not in it should be killed or whatever.
Is a second-class citizen and not,
Yeah, it's
not
a second
worthy
cla-
of being...
Exactly, yeah. So that is a bit too much for me personally.
Okay.
I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But then if you look at, say, religions such as Islam,
Yeah.
you've got the exact same thing there. It's the exact same thing.
Right.
And it's mentioned
What
multiple
way?
times in the Quran. Muhammad, before Muhammad died, said, like, the Messiah will only return once all the Jews are killed.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, to me, that is not the kind of religion that I particularly want to follow. And it is a religion, it's not a race.
Yeah.
So I think I left my own religion because I thought there was inconsistencies in it. And it was only minor inconsistencies.
What was your religion?
I was a Catholic.
So you're a Catholic?
Yeah, and I thought there was minor inconsistencies
Yeah.
in it, which was enough to sort of make me think, well, it's, you know, if I'm going to follow something for the rest of my life, I need to make sure it's right. So then if you get a religion where it's outright calling for the deaths of homosexuals, of anyone who's not part of that religion, then that to me is like, should this ideology really be promoted? Because let's have it right, it is being promoted, not just tolerated. So that's where I stand on it.
Do you think then that every Muslim in the world thinks that?
Yes.
You do?
Because, well, okay, let's define Muslim, because these days I'm seeing the argument, right,
Yeah.
not all Muslims, right? And I'm not saying that all Muslims are crazy and they're going to kill everyone. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
but they do subscribe to the same belief. So let's just say, to say I'm Muslim is the same as to say I am a Nazi. It means I believe in the tenets of an ideology that I say that I adhere to, that I say everyone else should embrace, that call for the destruction of other people who don't believe in that ideology. So in that sense, I'd say the biggest victims of Islam are Muslims. Because if you allow an ideology like that to permeate your consciousness, to become a part of who you are, then it's going to destroy you, and it's going to destroy everything around you, and that's just the way I see it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've not got. Yeah. But if the reason why you want to see me is this guy going to get in a car and run over a lot? No. Do you know what I mean? No, I'm not. Yeah. So
we're not the thought police.
Right.
We're not the thought police.
Because obviously that's the way
people can think and believe whatever they want. All right.
Right.
Our major concern as the counter-terrorism branch within Lancashire is to stop the potential next lone actor, as you said. All right.
And there's just one or two posts on your Facebook, mate, that were just a bit that's been brought to our attention.
Yeah. Which ones?
It's a little bit like, well, there's one about Thomas May. You know, he did nothing wrong. There's that's been carried on one of your threads. You know, which is, you know, to a lot of people quite, you know, they find it offensive.
That's mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, this is a problem though, right? Do you know anything about Reddit subculture?
So there.
Yeah.
Reddit subculture. So you know the Hitler did nothing wrong meme?
Yeah.
So basically what you do is someone who's blatantly done something wrong, you say they didn't do anything wrong, and it's just to trigger leftists. That's all it's to do.
It's just to get a rise.
It's just bait for leftists because they go crazy. Yeah. Like as soon as you say something like oh my god, you know, and it's
read into a lot in terms of religion, your own religion.
Yeah, I think you should know about it. I think it's important to know about religion and to know about where people are coming from.
There'll be people in the Islamic faith who will sit down to you and say, some of the ideas that you've got about Islam aren't the ideas that we follow.
They always say that, but it's not true. It's not true because what they'll do is they'll say you're not taking it in context. I've got books on it. I can sit down with a book. Okay, Muhammad's Quran, and then
Tommy Robinson's book.
Yeah, Tommy Robinson's book, which is completely accurate. And then
from Tommy Robinson's point of view.
No, but it is completely accurate. It's chronological and it cites exact passages from the Quran.
Yeah, but is he not using the same? You know, like an extreme Islamic terrorist is doing the same that Tommy Robinson's doing with these passages.
I don't agree with Tommy Robinson about everything, but like what you can say.
But all he's doing is that effectively. I think, and I don't know a lot about. You know, you might know a lot more about Islam.
Think of it, it's like how much, like how. Like, how can you put into a different context a passage, that says to kill people, literally calls for the death of non-believers? Now, there's no wiggle room on that.
Is that the line? Is it Quran 8:14 or something, or 8:12 or something like that?
Well, there's one
where he calls for something. Is it something along the line?
There's the Meccan and the Medinan verses. Now, the Meccans before Muhammad. Moved to Medina. Well, he pretty much got kicked out of Mecca, and he moved to Medina. His followers were basically bandits, you know, from the mountains and stuff like that. Like, so basically, dispossessed criminals. Who hated society, who hated everything like that, and they had their own law. A lot of the law, the Islamic law, is based on the law. It was an adaptation of the law, whereas sort of like. That, you know, where you can take non-believers as sex slaves, stuff like that, which he repeatedly says in the Quran. It was like that. So basically, he had these dispossessed, really angry followers. We could then say, you know, well, you're the chosen of God, and so they ended up following. Now, there is arguments into whether Muhammad was actually a single individual or a multitude of different Islamic leaders throughout time. That obviously like added little bits and bats to it, and it all came together to just like an amalgamation for one character. So it's interesting, and it's good to know about, and but at the same time, it's not because it makes you miserable. To be honest,
would you want to sit down with an Islamic scholar to talk about things like this or not?
I'd have to be prepared. I'd have to spend some time like
It's
getting
not-
everything.
Only because
It's not a debate. You know, it's not like it would be between. It's your.
But it would be a debate though, wouldn't it? Like,
It would, but
yeah.
it's not. There's nothing from it other than you speaking to somebody of that faith about
what their faith
their
is.
faith
Do you know what? Actually, like, I probably would be up for doing that. You know, 'cause I find it interesting because in a sense,
you've got a lot of knowledge and you've definitely got an opinion, and your opinions are valid, and we're not
saying
that.
no.
But I think you'd find it really, really interesting, and for us, getting somebody on board who just wants to have that conversation. We want people like yourselves to have the conversation. We want you to have the conversations legitimately, and have people. It's no good you talking to me about it because I don't have the answers. But
to be honest, like you said, I'd be glad to meet an Islamic scholar and talk to them because it humanised them to me a bit more, which would be nice.
Yeah.
To be honest, because when you get, I do not understand that when you get too caught up in
because
it can.
You do, because there's like Andy will say to you, there's what's it called?
Echo chamber.
There's echo chambers.
Yeah, and I'm aware of that, and I'm.
Yeah.
But it just might give you. And listen, you don't have to do it. We're not here to
Well,
say.
I'm interested in doing it, to be honest. 'Cause I've actually thought about doing it before.
It's not with a view to, basically, like I said from the beginning. All right, people who are being radicalised, and I'm not saying that you are, tend to have a journey. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They tend to have a journey, and especially around the far right or whatnot. It starts with an idea. It continues with them going on to rallies and away days and stuff like that. Yeah. And then, in my experience, somebody will say to that person, whoever it may be it you or be it somebody else, you've clearly got strong views. We're standing here, we're talking about it. Nothing's happening, nothing's changing. What should we do next? Do you know what I mean? And that's where the problem comes in, because then you're going into the realms of being beyond help from our point of view. You're then going into the criminal world of, extremism and running over people in cars. And that's where we don't want people to end up.
And that's really well written, because you've got, your Facebook profile it's politically minded, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff on there. You're sharing a lot of things that you believe in, and we're not saying it's wrong to have those beliefs, and I envy people that have those beliefs. Don't get me wrong, I envy people that have got an interest in where they see them fitting in the world, but like Brucey said, we just could do with. To have those thoughts is fine. To air them sometimes can be a little bit. That's where, if you're in a vulnerable position.
Where I stand with this, and the reason why, and to be honest, like you say, sometimes I do cross into being a bit extreme, but there's a reason for that, and I do it on purpose, right? Because I find that nowadays, like, the conversation has been stifled by overwhelming political correctness.
Yeah.
So by me being a bit extreme, gives other people unconscious permission to be that much less extreme. But so when you meet halfway, then we start having a conversation. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, well, what are you saying? Well, that means I can at least say this. You know? So that's where I come from on it. And I intentionally do go a bit far. But because if I feel like if I do go a bit far, the people that have seen me go a bit far have then got unconscious permission to sort of go on that middle ground and actually
meet you somewhere in the middle where they might not normally go.
Not even necessarily meet me somewhere in the middle, but like if they're seeing people say stuff like that, then the conversation, the middle ground conversation, then becomes not a we can't say that. It more becomes a sort of like, well, if he's over there, then this is all right to talk about, which is sort of where I come from with it, to be honest.
Where do you? So I take it from our brief conversation, I'm not trying to categorise you.
Yeah.
But I would say that you're probably anti-Islam.
I'm anti-Islam.
So that would make you, for me, in my mind, like you said, right of centre.
Yeah.
Where we're going with. Where do you stand on people of different races and colours?
Well, do you know what?
And I appreciate your honesty.
I'm not completely. To be honest with it, I'm not completely sure because what I see is a lot of tension in society.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, and I think quite right. Well, not necessarily rightly so, but they've got a point when they say white people are being sort of discriminated against.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I base that purely on the fact that when you've got companies that have got, like, we have to take on X amount of, say, age, X amount of whatever, X amount of whatever, then intrinsically you have bias against white people, white straight males. So it's like, just that in itself is evidence of discrimination. It's like genuine discrimination. So you can say, oh, well, we think such a race or such a race is being discriminated against, so we need to take all these preventive measures for it.
Positive action.
But positive action. But then what you've got is a situation where perceived racial bias, which there's no actual real evidence about, is being acted upon by a legislative branch. And by acting upon it, what you're actually creating is genuine racial bias, which is sort of like being made intrinsically like legislated for.
Right.
So this is my problem with the situation. So I've no problem with black people.
Yeah.
I have no problem with Asian people. What I've got a problem with is when you sort of you start making this insane partisan legislation. It's divisive.
Yeah.
So what you've got now is a government, like, in the name of being progressive, what they're actually doing is fracturing society into different sects, and then they're creating massive inattention. I don't know if it's been done on purpose or not. I don't know. I wouldn't say, but sometimes you think that people who are in political places of power, surely they must have some kind of common sense or some kind of education. So identity politics is ruining this country.
Right.
It's ruining business. It's ruining America. And all this chaos that you're seeing now is a byproduct of it.
Yeah.
And it can only ever be the end result of it. It's reskin Marxism. You know what I mean? Basically, you've got, instead of having the working class or the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, they've now changed Marxism into different identities. So again, you've got things like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
You've got stuff like the LGBTQ movement. Yeah, these are identitarian movements that are just fracturing society completely, and demanding legislation for their own identitarian movement. And then, so this is why you've got the rise of things like the alt-right, and you've got the Britain First, and you've got nationalist movements. These are a response to that.
Yeah.
So, if you look at it from a common sense perspective, it's all interconnected. That's why you're getting all these problems in society. What we need to do, in my opinion, is revert to just a society based on mutual understanding and meritocracy. Do you know what I mean? And good morals.
Yeah.
And that's what seems to have gone wrong. From my opinion, anyway, from what I see.
Would you class yourself as a nationalist?
I'd say I'm a nationalist, yeah. I don't think it's a bad thing to say. Like, it's we've got this in Britain. We've got this sort of thing where someone says, "Oh, nationalist means you're racist," or you mean no. I think everyone should be. I think it's a good thing to have an ethos that says that that you want good for your country and for your people. And when I say my people, what I mean is all the people in my country.
That live in England or in Britain.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a good thing, and I don't understand what the problem is with that. I don't see why people got such a negative kind of view. I think that's been perpetuated by strongly leftist media.
So a lot of your reading, I take, is on the internet.
Yeah, yeah. I don't trust mainstream media at all.
Well, yeah,
especially considering when you
that's a whole other.
Yeah, when you turn it on and it's just sort of like blatantly doesn't even make sense. It's not even lies. It's like the lies don't even make any sense. You're like
a whole other debate. The only problem being that once you've got an idea, like I said, there's the echo chamber effect, isn't it? That you seek out people that will reinforce your idea, which is, you know what I mean. That we all do that. We look for people that are like-minded of us and spend time with them and talk to them because it reinforces your ideas that you're doing. And it's just about whether you're looking at everything to get a balanced view of things rather than just looking at the alt-right stuff and all that kind of
yeah.
Just something to consider, that's all.
I agree with what you're saying. I used to have like an ongoing dialogue with a friend of mine, but he was really heavy left.
Right.
And it was just sort of like, obviously, so we just ended up stopping talking. So
Yeah.
it just got to the point where it's like, dude, like every time I'm trying to talk about something, you just call me a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've
Yeah.
not got time for you. So, but I can see your point.
How
I
would
can see
you
your point.
How would you describe a Nazi then? If you're not one.
How would I describe
Yeah.
it? Actually, someone who it's someone who wants to get political change
Yeah.
by force and violence.
Yeah.
That like I explained it before. Who thinks that anyone who's not a Nazi,
Yeah.
isn't human and should be treated however. Basically, it's might makes right, isn't it? If you think about it, it's basically and the socialists as well. Anyway, it's actually a far left socialist movement. The clues in the name, National Socialism. So, but my granddad was from Germany, so I know
Right.
plenty about that, and I know. Yeah, I'm not too into it, to be honest.
Right.
Did your granddad? Is he still around? Your granddad?
No, my granddad's dead. He was in the Luftwaffe in World War Two. He was taken a prisoner of war in England. Married my grandma,
Yeah.
but he hated Hitler.
Yeah.
His family used to hide Jews. His dad used to get arrested all the time.
Because I think what all this boils down to is Christian Finch likely to go off and get himself involved in demos where he starts assaulting folk or even worse,
we went to the Manchester against demo. I took one of my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the football lads one, weren't it? That one.
It was one with thousands of us turning up.
Yeah.
And at one point, it looked like it was going to kick off, and my mate started walking towards the kick. I said, the only thing that's that way, mate, is getting arrested.
Yeah.
Further on, we walked up to the demonstration, which, by the way, was terrible. They'd made a little box for thousands and thousands and thousands of us, so they took the fences down. And it looked like we were going to kick off, and I actually shouted to the lads who were turning round to face off with Antifa, "Demo's over here, boys."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, no, I'm not interested in violence particularly.
Yeah.
Do you know, and the only time I'm ever going to end up in violence is if someone's trying to kill me or someone's trying to hurt me. So, yeah, I'm not interested in it.
When you go on the demos, do you like demonstrate under any banner, or do you just go as yourself? If that makes sense. Are you affiliated to any kind of group? You mentioned Britain's First. You mentioned Britain's First.
I'd say Generation Identity, but I'm not affiliated to them. I'd say I support the idea of keeping like Europe culturally relevant.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that mass immigration is doing anybody any good, including the people who immigrated here in the past.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd say they're probably the worst affected by it. I mean, imagine, right, if you was a Muslim, and your granddad moved to Britain, okay, and you're enjoying the liberal values of Britain, well, what used to be the liberal values of Britain at least, and then suddenly there's a massive wave of immigration, Muslim immigration to Britain.
Yeah.
So now you've got old school Wahhabi mosques and people from Saudi Arabia who are like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You're not doing that.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the
I've
worst.
been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah. So I think the worst people affected by massive land immigration are the Muslims. Like, what you call moderate Muslims, they're the people that are being affected. They're on the front line. I mean, someone from Saudi Arabia is not going to come round, not anytime soon anyway, knock on my door and say you can't drink. They'll do it to other Muslims. So to me, that's some, that's a problem. I think they should be the ones more than anybody else saying this has got to stop. I don't know.
What's your profile picture in the minute at Facebook? Is it black armband with a yellow thing on it?
That's Generation Identity.
Generation Identity. What's that? Is that a European thing? Or?
Yeah, it's just a European movement started in France and it's going all over Europe. But it's just sort of like saying that Europe should stay European.
Right.
That's all.
Would you be interested then, like we've talked about, in sitting down and talking to somebody, an Islamic scholar, somebody who's been down the road in the far right, something along those lines, just to get a, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to, but I'm not necessarily going to agree with what they say.
No, and that's fine. That's what it's all about.
It's all about
Creating safe spaces.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
have
I've
these
seen this.
conversations.
Yeah, safe spaces. I've seen this. I've seen this guy who used to be in the EDL, and he said he knocked on this window, and in fairness, he probably was full of hate and all that lot.
Yeah.
This particular guy, I wouldn't call it a hate movement, to be honest. When I went to EDL demonstrations, nothing happened.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think so reading newspaper afterwards,
no.
though.
You just get drunk, don't you?
Yeah, we went. It was.
I've placed a load of them.
Where was it? I think it might have been in Blackburn, something like that. It's years ago.
And it was
this.
freezing, it was snowing.
Before
and it
Tommy
was-
Robinson went to prison. It was years ago, and then anyway, we went to one, and there was a couple of idiots in here, and some idiots got thrown out at a demonstration. That was all, so I'm thinking, it went well, like, it's not as bad as what they make out, because it was the first one I'd ever been to, and I was like, oh, newspaper day after, mate. Like, oh yeah, it was a riot, apparently.
Oh.
Same with the one in Manchester. It's just like none of this happens. And then obviously, from my perspective, I'm seeing the newspaper day after and I'm thinking that's why I have no faith in the mainstream media whatsoever, because I know what happened. And then it's sort of like trying to make us out like white supremacists, nutcases smashing stuff up, which is not the case. So, to be honest, I think if that hadn't have been the situation, I didn't particularly think the demo were brilliant. Tommy was quite inspirational, you know what I mean? But I don't think they do you any favours by doing that, because imagine if someone goes to a demonstration, like my mate who went on the Manchester one with me, and I told him, I said, you just wait for newspapers after, it's going to say it was a riot. He was like, nah, they can't do it, he will. Yeah, that's what's going to radicalise people, because they're just going to think, wait a second, they're going to get red pilled, aren't they? Yeah. So I think that's something that, from your perspective, would be good to address. Like to see the media, it's not exactly impartial, is it? And then if someone's seen something like that after a pretending demonstration that they know were peaceful, they're just going to think, I don't know.
You've got to look at the stuff in America, though, aren't you, to see where it could end up.
Oh yeah, it's going to end up like that. Yeah. Because we're following in the same way, like everything. Like in here, over here, we always follow America and everything.
Yeah, of course we do. It's just like we don't have guns.
Yeah, we don't have guns.
Which is a good thing. But that's the, that's how it happens.
There's more violent crime, here than in America. There's obviously more shootings in America, but there's more killings and violent crime over here with no guns. And in the American states that haven't got guns, there's a much higher crime rate. So there's an argument that can be made, maybe we should. You know what I mean? But then again, that's a completely different discussion. And don't worry, I'm not going to go and try and buy it.
That's almost, without even trying, led me into that one liner that you threw in on the phone about a rumour about...
Oh no, that was so crazy. No, someone's trolling. Basically, one of my mates got sacked from work. I got laid off, not fired. Yeah. So someone further down the line is just like made up this mad thing to tell my mate, saying I got fired for this crazy thing. And then he phoned me up in the middle of the night. I was like, did you say this? Like, what the hell are you talking about? Do you know what I mean? So that's when you phoned me. I thought, I took it as nothing, but then when you phoned me, I thought, you're just about to do this rumour or something. Is it actually a thing?
Needless to say, it did make me a little concerned.
No. I just thought, what the hell? When you wrote, because it was just a little crazy, because it was the day after, I just thought, no way, this isn't an actual thing, is it?
So, go on, so somebody had rung you, your friend had rung you to say, what's this I've heard?
Yeah, basically someone at work, he'd been trolling him on the phone saying, oh, your mate got fired. I was like, what happened? Oh, he said he was going to come in and shoot everyone at work and all this kind of stuff. And then he's obviously like, oh, what? So he phoned me up and asked me, and I'm just like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? Like, he was like, oh, do you not say one? No. Anyway, so it's not a rumour, because I checked, he's obviously just trolling my mate, because I checked with a few of my other mates at work. I didn't put what, I heard some mad rumour going around about me, and they're like, oh, there's a rumour that you got fired, but that's about it. I'm like, well, I didn't, I didn't, so. And they were like, oh, right, nice one. When you back on it? Don't know, probably a couple of weeks.
Right.
So.
How is the work situation?
It's not so bad. I've got loads of money saved up.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I wanted to get laid off. I was getting a bit stressed out of it. To be honest, I don't like. I've been there for like. I was only supposed to work there in my own head, sort of free winter, and I've enjoyed my summer and sort of wind down a bit. So I'm sort of glad I got laid off. To be completely honest, I could do a bit of time to myself. Get out a bit, get down to the gym or something. To be honest, I need to unplug for a bit anyway. So
have you any questions for us?
no, not really.